little bit an issue about the terrorism. Some attacks might happen, but now we are better than before.
That's good.
For
That's
security, economically, politically, development, and everything is much better for the last 3 years.
Uh-huh. And how's the government? Sorry, Mohammed. No, go. Tell me.
Yeah, also the education, those are doing some good progress for the development of the education and also the higher, especially the higher education, as well as the primary and secondary schools. So I think last 4 years or 3 years is the best time in Somalia, especially for this kind of issues.
I see. That's really great to hear. That's really great to hear, Mohammed. Yeah. That's really good news.
When you visit to come and join us and you will be our guest to SNU, Somali National University, especially Faculty of Education and Social Science.
Thank you, Mohammed. Is that where you're working right now? Are you working at SNU?
Yeah, I'm a deputy dean of the faculty and as well as a lecturer.
That's amazing. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. I think you will come to Dadaab in December.
That is correct, Mohammed. Yes, I should be arriving in Dadaab. Yeah, I should be arriving in Dadaab on December 2nd, I think. Around there, okay. December 2nd, I think. And then I'll stay till the 12th or 13th. So I should be for 10 like 10 days, 10, 11 days, basically, in Dadaab. But will you be there or no? Will I
was last month. I was in September last month with
okay.
I think it's August, yeah, with Don and Hayun. I met also Farhia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice place. I met with a lot of friends in Dadaab from also refugees, those who are studying there. Really, it was a great time to be in Dadaab and to see how the people are suffering their life, education, and everything.
I see. Yeah, so you won't be going back in December then, Mohammed. You won't.
I will try. I cannot guarantee. It's a little expensive, but I will try.
I imagine that it's very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Traveling from Nairobi to Dadaab is only about $300. So how about from Mogadishu to Somalia? And also about staying there for the accommodation and everything expenses.
I see. Yeah, and nothing is covered, right, Mohammed? Like
SME is covered somehow, but for the orientation, they said it's okay with them. But for this time, there is not any,
No reason, right? Like no reason to go, basically, according to them.
Yeah. But I'm very glad to see you. Maybe when you come to Nairobi, then you can have 2-3 days to visit us.
That's right. That's true.
You get to pay you for the full accommodation and everything, for the ticket and everything. So you just come and have a seminar or workshop for the lecturer, maybe for the staff. We can arrange.
Okay. Yeah, Mohammed. If you guys are willing to, because it is expensive for me as well. So if you guys would cover that, I would. Yeah, we can organize that. That would be beautiful. I would love to come to SNU if we can arrange that. We can see. We can talk more about it, Mohammed. Let me know. Let me know, like, if you have. Let me know if you can. If you talk to other people there at the university, and you think there is if you think we can organize a workshop or something, I would be more than happy to come for sure. So let me know.
With the dean. I will discuss with the dean.
Okay.
Also the top level managers, like the director, the vice director.
Yeah.
That should just give you the feedback. But hopefully, I know that they will say, yeah, this guy is very important for us and has to join us and come.
That would be awesome, Mohammed. The other thing we can do in case like obviously because it might be expensive to do all of that, right? So the other thing we could do is we could also arrange for I can like when I'm there in the DAB, I could have a Zoom workshop for an SNU. You know what I mean? In case that could be another alternative, right? Like another possibility. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So maybe we could look at that too. But I mean, I would love to come to Mogadishu to visit SNU. That would be awesome.
That's beautiful. If you come, you enjoy. We can also try to have this for the continuous of what they call distance learning, or maybe for the teleconference, so that you can also join us for as a video conference, like you're doing the Zoom.
Yeah.
Then just pick up for some specific topics, then as a discussion, then together, then because in here we have a communication room that's for was only for the studying from those who are just like you outside or cannot come to for some issues, just to share their knowledge, to share their experience, to give some ideas of how they do this way, how this is way of teaching, maybe way of problem development, maybe measurement evaluation of the classes, maybe staff also. So we have this kind of communication room. Also, we can use that as a benefit.
That's right. That's absolutely correct, Mohammed. That's a wonderful idea. I mean, we could. You're right. We could continue using the teleconferencing model, right? To bring that. I mean, let me know, Mohammed. Like, let me know if let me know what your deans and like managers say there at SNU, and I mean, and then we can arrange some teleconferences or whatever we can arrange. I mean, I'm willing to do it. That's for sure.
Just to pick up some main topics that you can just say, I can help you this. Because in here we have a lot of departments. Like we have department for like social work. We have a department of mathematics and physics. We have biochemistry. We have English history. We have also primary education.
There's quite a lot of departments.
Yeah, 6-7 departments. We just can pick some information, then we just focus those who are very neat to this workshop or maybe all this capacity building.
Yeah. We would have to find, of course, some main themes, right, and topics that sort of fit into one of the departments. I see.
Yeah, that's good, really. Welcome to you.
Okay. Yeah, we let me know, Mohammed. Let me know, and then we can talk more about it, maybe. When we can write to each other, we can correspond, and then we can sort of, when you have some ideas and stuff, let me know.
That's
what I mean? And I can send you maybe some topics that I would be able to cover.
Okay, I will.
And
thank you for your time. Thank you for everything.
No, absolutely not. Thank you guys for your time, Mohammed. I enjoy being here with you guys. This is a really like it is. It's wonderful work. It is. It really is. Yeah. I hear from, I think we also have Grace. I think I see Grace.
Yeah.
And yes, Hani. I'm still struggling to connect. Hi.
Hey Grace, how are you?
I'm very fine.
Don't worry.
I'm still struggling to connect.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yes.
Where are you working from, Grace?
Hello. Currently, I'm working in Kalobeye, but it was a 2 weeks contract, so I will be done by today.
I see. Okay.
Actually, we are done.
Actually, yes. You're done. So, but you're connecting from the school there, right? Because I hear other students.
Yes. Yes, I'm connecting from the center, the ICC center.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I can hear other students in the background. I could hear other students. That's why I was like.
Awesome. Yeah, there are a lot of noises from the background. Yeah.
That's okay. What we can do is, Grace, as soon as everyone connects, Just always make sure that whenever you're not talking, just mute the microphone. That way we don't hear all the background noise. But don't worry about it now. I'm just saying when everyone else connects to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then whenever you want to talk,
fine.
just reactivate it. Make sure you reactivate it, otherwise I don't hear you.
Okay, fine. Sure.
And then who else? We have Hani as well, right? I see Hani. I don't know if Hani hears me, but I hope she is hearing me. So for the moment, we have us four.
What's your name?
And Sara as well, I hear now. I think I see. So we have Sarah, we have Mohammed, we have Hani and Grace for the moment.
Which type of format?
Hello, Hani.
Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. How are you too?
I'm doing really, really well. So how where are you connecting from again, Hani? Just out of curiosity, because I forget sometimes.
From Kismayo, Somalia.
Kismayo, from Kismayo, Somalia. How is the situation there for at the moment? How's everything?
So far well and good.
Doing good? Are you at home now, or are you connecting from somewhere else?
No, I'm at home now.
At home. Okay. Well, nice to hear from you, Hani. So in a few minutes, I'm just waiting for to see. I see Abdi Aden as well in the meantime. Hi, Abdi. I'm just waiting for the DAB cohort as well to join. If they don't join in the next few minutes, we will start, I guess. I see.
Sorry, we recently finished another class from Barik. I think they joined.
There is everyone. Perfect. I see everyone. And I see Professor Dlamini as well has joined us now. Namusa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Perfect. All right. I think we have pretty much everyone actually. I think I see. Hi, everyone in the DAB. How are you? So I see Kasahun, I see Abulong, I see Serafin Kimonyo. And is everyone else there too? I can't hear. I see Grace connected as well. Perfect. Yeah, connection. Okay. So I see. All right. I think we'll start in a few minutes. Nambuso, I think what I will do is I will just introduce you to the group, and then that way you can then, if you want to take over for a few minutes to do revision of the previous article of the Freebody and Luke, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And then you want me then to you wanted to everyone to introduce themselves to you, right? I think that was that was the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So we will do that.
Time. It's very hard to hear anybody down there, right?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. The communication and connections are quite difficult at times. So it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So you tell me, Nambuso, do you want me to do you want everyone to present themselves, introduce themselves, or not?
I think it's gonna be difficult because we can't hear everybody. So perhaps we can just go on before we cut off on the internet to the article, and maybe you start with where you were yesterday with the article. Can you share the slides on the screen too?
I don't have the slides that you have, the ones, because they're not on Moodle apparently. I thought they were, but I don't have the slides. What I do have is I have my the sort of summary that we worked with last week. That's what we have. But if you want the slides, Nambuso, then you can send them to me. Either send them to me or right now so I can share them.
Yeah.
Or you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna do. Check with everybody how they are.
All right.
Everybody.
All right. So what I'll do in the meantime is, all right. How's everyone doing? Dadab and everyone else. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So this morning we actually have Professor Dlamini with us as well. So Professor Nambuso Dlamini is the course director, obviously, for the class. So what we'll be doing right now is Professor Nambuso will introduce herself, and then she will basically sort of add on to what we discussed last week. Remember last week we started discussing the article by Freebody and Luke, right? We started looking at the 4 roles that they indicate, which were the code breaker, text participant, text user, and text analyst, right? So that's what we started doing last week. We started looking at the 4 roles. We sort of defined the 4 roles last week. And then we also started looking at the idea of discourse, right? What discourse is and how we sort of identify it in any text, right? Or in any text or any written text or any spoken words as well. So that was sort of where we stopped last week. Last week we also emphasized a lot, and we looked at how language at times can be oppressive. So that was where we were at last week. We started analyzing, for example, the text that Freebody and Luke bring as an example, which was the excerpt from a history textbook on the Aztecs. So we started looking at how, for example, that specific textbook is actually framed from a very Eurocentric perspective. And then from there on, we sort of analyzed a little bit more what it means for language to be oppressive and how language can be oppressive at times or liberating, both at the same time sometimes as well. That was sort of where we stopped last week, guys, remember? And so what Professor Dlamini will do now, I think, is she wants to go over a little bit that text, and then we will after that we will proceed with the McGregor article, and we will look at CDA more in detail. So CDA being obviously critical discourse analysis. So how does critical discourse analysis work, right? How do we conduct critical discourse analysis? So I will, Nambuso, were you able to send?
I'm still looking for them. I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm still looking for my PowerPoints. Not sure what happened to it.
Okay. Do you want to just introduce yourself briefly in the meantime, Nambuso, to the class?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Okay.
It's good to meet you. It's good to meet you. We're going to be working together in this course with Miko, and I'm happy that Miko started with you last week. I teach here at York University in the Faculty of Education, and I've been here for 7 years now. In case you're curious about my origins, I was born in South Africa many years, a century ago. So many of you are very young, during the time of Nelson Mandela and apartheid. So I was not necessarily brought up in South Africa. I grew up in exile and I stayed in many countries, including Mazimbu, just in Tanzania. For some of you might be familiar with that area. What else should I say, Nico? I teach in the area of youth studies, culture, and anthropology. My background is mainly in language studies and education. I'm an anthropologist by training. So I'm excited to be teaching this course, to be working with you. I'm trying to look at the slides. Can you hear me?
Yes. I can.
Yes? Oh, perfect. So what we're going to do is actually to go over the slides of the Freebody and Luke. I am actually, yes. I'm sending it to you now, Miko.
Perfect.
Yeah. Miko. And it's an interesting article, I think. And it's not very difficult to, I just sent it.
Perfect. So I will be.
Yeah, it should be there in 1 minute. Yeah. Sorry about that hiccup. So we just share that. I find some of the readings, even if they're not, if you find them not very easy to read, what becomes important is to just kind of see the highlights of the article instead of trying to understand each and every sentence in the article. So just kind of pull out what is more important and continue with that and use that for moving forward. Otherwise, you might get really frustrated with the language and everything else, or even the way that it is written. Yeah. So if you have questions, just jot them down. Just let me go over 2 points, and then I'll see if there is there are questions. And if you don't have questions, I'll move on to the next 2 points. It's not a very long PowerPoint slide. We're going to have the mobile up and running by Monday night, right, Miko? You muted yourself.
I hope so, Namus. I mean, it should be up and running by Monday night, I'm guessing.
Okay, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Also, Nico, I'm not sure if everybody has had a chance to do the article, or that's where we are next week.
To actually, you mean to work on the analysis of the article, Nambuso, right? That's what you're saying. No, yeah. we still haven't had the chance. I was hoping that I was gonna basically sort of we could start doing it today during the class today. I mean, the thing is, our classes are much shorter than yours in Toronto, so obviously our time it goes a little bit faster, right?
Okay, all right. So then I won't insist. I was going to come in again next week to explain the Said article, which we are doing. But if people are still working on the analysis, did you get the PowerPoint?
I just got it now, Nambuso.
Okay,
perfect.
all right.
Just arrived.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it up right now so everyone can see it. Give me 1 second, and then I'll share the screen with everyone, guys, so that way everyone has access to it.
Mm-hmm. Let me just get some tissue. Excellent. Sorry, I needed some tissue. My nose is running.
Thank you for joining us, by the way, Professor Dlamini. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I should be doing this every day.
All right, here we are. Do you see? Does everyone see it? Does everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
Perfect.
I'm happy. So I'm going to do 2 points, the first 2 points, and I'll give you examples, and then it's going to be easy for you to follow what Freebody and Luke are saying. Okay. So let's talk about the code breaker. A code breaker is when you're reading. It's the easiest, the first aspect of reading. Is to be a successful reader, you need to be able to break the code. So the code really is simply understanding the alphabets. How are the alphabets put together to form words? And how are the words linked to each other to form sentences? That's the basic level of learning. And that's what Freebody and Luke are telling us to be able to do. At the simplest level, you have to be able to break the code. Because if you don't know how to do that, then there's a problem. So some people are told how to break the code, but others really understand the code in a very easy way. So most of the times in breaking the code, let's look at the words, for example, look, L-O-O-K, okay? Look at the word again, boot, B-O-O-T. Look at the word moot, M-O-O-T-E, I think, is it? So those three examples, look, L-O-O-K, book, B-O-O-K. What other word can we use there, Meko?
Did you say moot? Did you say moot,
Yeah.
Professor Dlamini? So M-O-O-T?
Yeah, M-O-O-T. What other words can we use that formula?
I mean, following the double O formula.
Yes.
So tool, T-O-O-L.
T-O-O-L is tool. What other word can we use from the group that follow that formula of O-O?
Yeah. Okay.
Use two. We can use two.
Food. Thank you. Somebody said food.
Sarah said food.
From Nairobi.
Excellent. Okay. So if we are actually following Freebody and Luke's reasoning, what they are trying to tell us is breaking code requires our understanding of how the symbols work when they are put together. So when you're actually a small kid, 5, 6 years old, 4, 5 years old, trying to learn the language, you have to be able to see how the letters are put together to make words. So, and this is one code, for example, that is easy or difficult depending on how you're learning. You have to know how to break the code that when two O's in the English language come together, they pronounce the sound U. They are no longer O's. They are now O is equals to U. So that's one level of breaking the code. In other words, understanding how the letters, which of course is the technology of the language, are put together and what sound they make when they are put together. So that's just one example. Look, moot, tool, food is just the simplest level of the code. That's the first stage that Freebody and Luke are talking about. They say you have to be able to know the technology in order to be able to read at a higher level. Okay? So that's what they call the technology, or we can call it the symbols of the language, the alphabet. Claro? Clear? Yes. Second point, we scroll down, Miko.
Second point, go for it. So text participant.
Text participant, okay. I'm going to give you another example. What is a text participant? When I was reading Achebe, all of whom are familiar with the book Things Fall Apart. I know you know the book Things Fall Apart. Everybody read Things Fall Apart, right? And did you read Things Fall Apart back there in the Dab at school? I think we might have lost them there, Miko.
I'm not sure if I think they can still hear us. I think they can still hear us, right, guys?
Okay, so I want to give an example from a book that everybody is familiar with, and I'm asking if you are all familiar with the book Things Fall Apart.
I'm not sure if they read it.
No, nobody is answering. I don't think they hear me.
Adab, can you hear us?
Yes, we know it.
Okay, okay, all right. So
By Chinua Achebe?
No, we have read Things Fall Apart.
Yes, yes.
you have read Things Fall Apart. Okay, you have read it. Okay.
Ah, excellent. Thank you. By Chinua Achebe. Yes. Okay. So when I read that book, and there is a part where what's his name? The main character.
I don't know.
You didn't read that one?
I read it, but it was quite a while ago.
Me too. That's why I'm forgetting. Okongo. Yes, when Okongo is forced to leave his village and go take shelter in his mother's village for some time, because his gun had mistakenly shot someone during a ceremony, a festival. I felt very, very sorry for him, to the point where I actually was almost crying, because it's this hero to me. I'm reading the book and I'm feeling sad. So to be text participant really is about how your emotions are interconnected with the book that you're reading, or whatever text that you're reading. There are some books that you read, you feel like, oh, I know this book, I love this book, I'm going to, you're happy with it, or you're sad with it, or you're crying with it. At that point, you're really participating in the emotions of the book. The meaning is coming from you most of the times, and your emotions are forcing you to actually either be happy or be sad or be confused. Confusion is part of participating in reading a text, right? So that is the second level of analysis. It's where you are understanding what you're reading, but you are also emotionally connected to it, or you are not connected to it. Because sometimes when you're not connected to it, you're like, okay, what is this? I don't understand this. And then you get confused, you get frustrated, but you're still participating in trying to understand the book. Okay, the third point, let's go down.
Good point. Perfect. Go on.
Text user. Okay. This is the level where we read as graduate students. Text user, is where you say what this text is for here and now. In other words, you begin to look at the politics of the text. Why is this person giving us this text? It is through social interactions around literacy events that we learn our positions as readers and our notion of what for us the texts are for. So, for example, in the classroom, there is the site of learning what texts are for and what one's role is as a manager of text. So when you're given a book in a classroom, you know what that text is for. It is either to teach you history or geography or science and so on. But even within history itself, you might find divisions of text. So not all history books are the same, right? In English, you find different kinds of text. There's some literature in English that are given to you in order to learn the culture of the place in which the book is talking about. Sometimes you're given a book in English so you can learn comprehension, language comprehension. Sometimes you're given so that you can learn only just grammar, sentence, grammar, how sentences structures. So text user is to be able to take a book and find out what the purpose of the book is for your learning, really. That's what it is. Let's scroll down, Nico.
So we are on the fourth then.
Yes, we are now on the fourth. The role of the reader involves conscious awareness of language and idea systems that are brought into play when the text is used. This really is the key to graduate work. What are the idea systems that are brought into play when a text is used? So when I am prescribing something to you, I am trying to transfer some idea systems. You have then to find out from reading the text what the system of ideas are in that text that I'm giving you. And that is the key, really. To be a text analyst is to be able to look at the system of ideas that are found in that book. Yeah? It is crucial that we view the particular options exercised by the writer of such a text as covertly positioning us as readers into ordering our senses, making procedures within an ideological perspective. So when a reader gives us something, a writer gives us something, what position is he trying to force us to take, right? And this links to McGregory very quickly. McGregory at the very beginning says, the writer of the article about students bullying teachers wants us to sympathize with the teachers that they're being beaten by. So the position is that system of ideas, right? And this is where we do our graduate work. Our graduate work, our graduate reading is through our ability to analyze the system of ideas that are being transmitted. We then, as learners, need to be able to take our own ideas and match them with the system of ideas that were given by the writer and analyze the text, right? So even though I said at the beginning, you don't have to understand line by line or sentence by sentence of what you're reading. I still stand by that, but you need to be able to understand the ideas, the systems that the writer is trying to give to you. Yeah? So that's really what Freebody and Luke is about. They are very, those are the 4 points that you need to be able to understand what they're trying to teach us about. Text analyst and text user are somehow interconnected because in order to analyze the text, somehow you must be able to use the text or relate to the text. Sometimes people say, I don't understand this. I've never been in a situation like that. And then they dismiss what they've written, what they've read. To be a text analyst, you need to be able to take something that you don't relate to and analyze it and say, this is the reason I do not relate to this text. You're still analyzing it, right? You are giving us information about why this text doesn't mean anything to you, or why it's frustrating you, or why you are enjoying it. You analyze the system of ideas that are either frustrating you or giving you excitement or making you unsure, ambivalent in a sense. Yeah. So that's what a text analyst does. So in this class, we really are going to be working on systems of ideas. Our ideas, but also the system of ideas of those who are writing, of the text that we're reading, including the newspaper articles that you're going to be choosing for yourselves. What ideas are there in those newspapers that are trying to be forced on you one way or another? And that's what really being a graduate student is about. Yeah, Miko, do you want to add on that?
I mean, I think Tambuso, you've covered it quite well, all of the points. I mean, what I want, maybe the only thing I can sort of add to it, the only thing I can supplement to it, is basically the idea of also like what you were saying. So when it comes to text user, right? When it comes to being a text user, I mean, there are specific roles that are expected of us in classrooms, right? In different classroom settings, when we analyze books, when we look at books. And I think in a sense, like what we are being told to do as grad students in a sense. So what one of the ways in which we have to use the text as grad students is being an analyst. Basically, that's the way I see it in a sense, right? So because, like, for example, maybe when we were younger in high school, for example, maybe one of the uses of textbooks was usually to assimilate information simply, right? Just sort of assimilate information, look for specific points in the and then sort of build on that. As a lot of the times, instead, as grad students, that the way we have to use textbooks or articles is the idea of being a text analyst. So no, we're not just looking for lots of information in a text, just like you were saying, Nambuso, right? We're not just looking for lots of information, but we're looking for specific kinds of information that can sort of help us, like you were saying, understand the positioning of that article or that text into the larger world, right? Like, how does that article position itself into the larger world, into the larger social context? And
Yes.
I think that's what we were sort of getting at last week as well. If the whole class remembers, right? That's where we were sort of getting at. It was like this idea of how does the text interact with the outside world, and how do we see those interactions as grad students? How do we perceive those relationships? And I think, as you were saying, Nambuso, I think the McGregor text then sort of introduces this idea really, really well, because through this critical discourse analysis, I mean, that is one of the ways in which, that is one of the techniques in which we can analyze a text, right?
Yes.
Yes, right.
So remember that in analyzing text, we're always using language, okay? And in our use of language, we have to take the components of language that are not acquired. We have to take the points of types of language that are formally learned, okay? So acquisition, and I'm making just a broad analysis here. Acquisition is the process of learning something without formally being taught it. Acquisition. So, for example, your mother language, the language you spoke when you were small, nobody sat you down and taught you that language. You just learnt it. As a child, nobody taught you how to speak. You just learned from doing. That's acquisition. But let us say now you are driving a car. In order to learn to drive a car, someone has to sit you down and say, this is the steering. A steering is for controlling the direction of the car. These are the brakes that stop the car. This is the accelerator, the speed of the car. That is formal learning, which is different from acquisition. You acquire your mother language, but you formally learn how to drive a car, right? You acquire your mother language, you formally learn how to drive a car. In our analysis of books in the class, we are actually formally learning how to analyze, how to use language for understanding and analysis. That's what we're doing. And we're taking language and say, how do we take this language and use it to understand and analyze the text that we've used? So if I'm saying to you, for example, the role of the reader involves conscious awareness of language and the system of ideas, I am using there, I've taken this part of awareness of language, I've cut it down for myself, I've analyzed it and said, what does this mean? And that's what analysis is about, breaking down things so that you can explain them to someone who doesn't know them, right? Taking things that you might know or not know and explaining them clearly to the next person so that they understand you, what you're saying, and so that you also understand the text, yeah? So language plays a key role here in how we do this kind of work as graduate students, yep. Okay, I think our time is going to come up very soon.
I know.
Are there any questions from the class so far with that Freebody and Luke? Show of hands, are you good?
Microphone, Abulon.
Thank you, Professor Mukusu, for joining us today. And I think it's very important that we have, like, especially me, I've learned since last week when this text was introduced, the importance of like reading an article, and it's not only reading, but while you are reading, you have to relate it into the real life experience, and then you read the article, and then you judge at the end of the day whether you accept what the author was saying or you don't. So to me, I think this one is very important for us, and yeah, I actually will do more in analyzing the text, in giving our opinion based on that text, because previously we used to read the text just like that. But I think at this class, at this level now, I think we have to be so serious on reading the text, and you interpret the text in the way, yeah, you relate it into your life. So thank you. Okay.
Okay, great. I'm happy you said that in terms of relating it to experiences outside of the text itself. That's another strategy for analysis. I'm glad you said that. Also remember, you can relate what you're reading to the experience also of people around you. It can be of your own experiences, but it can also be of the experiences of people around you. At your workplace, for example, what you observe at your workplace is, or at home within your families, or maybe within your kids, and so use the text to actually analyze it. I understood Freebody and Luke as the text participant one time when my daughter was reading a romantic novel, and all of a sudden she's crying because the heroine, someone leaves this girl, breaks up in a relationship. So she was crying with the girl, but she's reading the book. She's not the girl, but she has put herself to be the girl in the book. So I saw that and said, yeah, she's participating in the text and putting herself as the heroine, as the girl in the book. So, but that was not my experience. That was my daughter's experience. But now I can use that experience to say, oh, that's what text participant means. So you have to look at your own experiences, but also look at the experiences of the world around you. Yeah, because that is also important to use to analyze your readings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thank the professor Nambuzo. You have explained for us the four of successful being a reader. I am very much interested, especially there's a comment that I want to make for as a text participant that you have said. In your reference, you have said that for the book of Ngua, the Young Things Fall Apart, you have mentioned that you feel sympathetic for their character when he indirectly shoots did something. So can we say that as a text participant, these stylistic devices that the writers use to improve for you to be a participant in their texts?
The writer uses what? Sorry?
You have said that a question that now another colleague was asking about text participant. Can we say that the writer might use a stylistic device that can make his reader or her reader to be a participant? For example, now you mentioned that your daughter had an emotion of this romantic when she was looking at. So can we say that when we are writing, we need to use a stylistic device that can attract the attention of our readers?
Yes, you have to, definitely, that's a good question. You definitely can put examples also of how the writer is drawing you into the text or not pulling you into the text. by using some phrases, some sentences, or some words that make you sympathize with them. But you have to actually, in your writing, put examples of those words. What words are making you participate in the ideas that the author is trying to put on you? Or do you agree with those words or not? Are they good words? Are they words that turn you off? So all of this, yes, you can definitely do that. You can highlight the way that the book or the article you are reading is forcing you to react in a particular way. Sometimes you not only just write about things that are good, you write about things that are frustrating you. There is an article that I once prescribed to students, which is Ethnic Groups and Boundaries. It's one of my favorite authors. His name is Bernard Bath. And my graduate class, it was a PhD level, the student just really wrote a response about her frustration with the article I gave them. He said, first of all, this author writes in words that I've never seen before. Every time I was reading, I had to go to the dictionary. And then she pulled out particular words from the article. One of them was ecological niches. She said, I went to the dictionary to look for the word ecological niches, and only to find that ecological niches only means that, a geographic space. Why didn't the author just use the word geography or space? Why did he have to use that? So she went through the article and took all the phrases that were frustrating her and gave them as examples of how, in reading this text, she didn't agree with the author, didn't know whether or not to agree with the author because she didn't understand anything the author was saying. That is analysis, right? So there are many levels of analysis. You can analyze the system of ideas. You can analyze the language system that's used to express the system of ideas. You can analyze in multiple ways, yeah? So good, that's a very good point that you brought there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Miko, I'm all yours. What do you want me to do now? Miko is the one who's organizing all of us here. That's why.
I think are there more questions from the class? Because I was also answering online, Nambu. So there was another question from Grace.
Okay.
She was asking basically if we could re-explain quickly text user. I sort of did that already, but I'm not sure if that's maybe a question that other people have as well. If that's a question that more people have, then maybe we can just go maybe with an example.
Okay, go back. Can you go back on the slide?
Yes.
Yeah, let's pull up the slide of text user. Yeah.
Here we are.
Is there another one before this or no?
No, this is the first one.
Okay, all right.
So basically, the question was, I think, from Grace, what again, if we could just go over again text user. So I was thinking of maybe if we can give an example, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can give an example of a text user. And so what I was telling her in this specific case, and then maybe you can add as well.
Okay, go ahead.
It's basically, a lot of it has to do with the purpose of reading the text, right? So like, how are we using the text? Are we using the text, for example, to answer specific questions? And so are we reading the text specifically to look for answers to specific questions? Or instead, are we reading the text, for example, to look at the larger discourse and system ideas? For example, these are all different uses that we can have of a text. And obviously, a lot of the times, these uses of the text are prescribed according to the circumstances and the social context. So, for example, in the classroom, in an English classroom, you might be asked to use the text specifically to look at grammatical or structural patterns, for example. So that's one way of reading a text, right? Meanwhile, for example, in a graduate classroom, you might be asked to look for the discourse, or rather the system ideas, like you were saying earlier in the Muso. that obviously, the way you look at a text is influenced by the purpose of why you're reading a specific text. Basically,
Yes.
that's what I think what I was trying to explain. But you
to explain to you. Yeah. So when you look at the 4 points that are given by Freebody and Luke, the first 2 points are really at the basic level of reading, right? So breaking the code is the easiest, simplest stage. So all of those 1, 2, 3, 4 points that are brought up, if we can go back to the very first slide, Miko.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, the very first slide. Oh, exactly. So all of these are actually hierarchical. So the first one is the simplest level of reading, cracking the code. The second one is, what does this mean? In other words, you are using the code that you've cracked to understand meaning, to give meaning to the text. So it's really not at the level of analysis, but at the level of just taking what you're given and using it at the basic level, understanding it. What does this mean, right? We use these categories. What categories? Like you see at the bottom of the slide there's something that say, we use these categories as a heuristic guide for literacy educators to consider what literacies are offered in various instruction programs. In other words, what we are doing with number 2, which is text participant, is really saying to the text we are reading, why am I giving this English book? Why am I giving this science book? Why am I giving this math book? This math book is basically to teach you addition. That's why it's there. So you have to participate in learning addition. It's the simplest level of reading. As we go down, text user and text analyst, these are the higher levels of reading, which is what graduate work is about. So to be a text participant is just really to read for meaning, that's all, without necessarily having any kind of analysis. Does that clarify for you, Grace?
Yes. Her microphone is muted, but she said yes. I could see
it. Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. We have excellent. Okay. So
any other questions from anyone else? From the rest of the class? Do we have any other questions pertaining to the 4 roles that Professor Dlamini just explained? Someone is trying to speak, but I cannot
hear them. Yeah.
I cannot hear them. I don't know if it's from the lab or if it's from somewhere else.
Yeah, my question is, I'm Serafin.
Serafin, can you come a little bit closer to the microphone? Just a little bit. Come.
Thank you. When I was reading the articles, I read somewhere where it said that text can affect both opportunity and exploitation. Initiation into role of code breaker, text participation, and text user can open up new and powerful forms of bureaucratic colonization, unless that initiation offers the tools of discourse, analysis, and critique. So my question was, among these 4 roles, which is very important to adults?
I did see that question coming.
Which is the most important? First of all, that's a good question too. Number 3 and 4 for me are very interconnected. Freebody and Luke puts them as though they follow each other. I don't agree. I think you can actually analyze a text before you actually use it. In other words, you can make your own, understand the system of ideas in a text without necessarily having to use it. So they can, both of the text user and text analyst don't necessarily follow each other like that. They can happen at the same time. Those last two are the most important, just to answer your question. But in order to be able to do the last two, text user and text analyst, you need to be able to break the code. How are academic articles written? That's the code at the graduate level. You are no longer breaking the code of look, book, tool, and food, because you already know the words. So we're now breaking the codes of how to read graduate work. So to answer your question, text user and text analyst, the last two that are analyzed by Freebody and Luke are the most important for us in this course. We have to be able to be text analysts, take the system of ideas and use language to be able to speak about those ideas that are given to us. Is it clear? Excellent question. Excellent question. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Seraphim. Any other questions?
Hello, Mirko.
Yes, Mohammed?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thanks for I also like to thank with our professors. And for me, every language has a different character, a different and then the standard, or maybe in vocabularies, also the sentence and everything. So, is there any possibility that we can, in Africa, you can see one country has maybe 10, 15 languages. Maybe we can say local language. So I think the main thing we can add one more. Is it possible for the understanding the meaning of the text, or maybe for the reading? How can we just put one of the put the code breaker, text parsimonies, text user analyzing? So for the understanding, I think maybe one of the main thing to understand the article, maybe the people, maybe the society. So where in the understanding of the article or the language can be part of these four roles?
That's the second one. What does this mean? That's about understanding. Text participant is about understanding, not just understanding as you say, is understanding the language. You're right about that. Understanding the language that is used in the article, but also understanding the ideas. But the second one, text participant, is really what you're talking about. It is about understanding. What does this mean? In order to say this means that, you need to be able to understand it. So I'll put your point, because I think you have a good point around language, the importance of language and understanding the English language in a space where English is not your first language. That point is very good. It's a notable point. But remember, it is already under the category of text participant, because under there, you use language in order to participate or to understand what you're reading. So I'll put it under number 2.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also interesting to point out that, Freebody and Luke are actually discussing adult literacy programs, especially in ESL classes. So, actually, most of their work was catered to that. In the article was actually speaking to exactly how should we teach English to
as a
students.
second language.
Yeah, as a second language. So it's interesting about
that to note
Mohammed. Yeah, to note that.
Yeah. It's very good, actually. It's very good. All of you are already analyzing the text. You are already participating in questioning the text. All you need to do now is put those ideas that you had when you were reading this text, make them yours and put them in writing.
Yep.
Remember, you can write. You don't have to sit in front of the computer for this class. When your ideas come, just scribble them, take a picture, and send it to Miko.
Actually, about that, Nambuso, before we
Yes.
leave, because it's actually already it's already time, class. Yeah, it's already 9. But before we leave, I wanted to just show them exactly what you showed me last time, which is basically the way you take notes as well.
Yes.
On the article, because I think what we'll be doing next week, and I will go over it with everyone now in a second, but what we'll be doing next week at this point will probably be to look at the text together. So give me 1 second here. I'm trying to share it. 1 second, guys. Let's see if can you guys see the text?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So actually, what I've done is so this is the article that I sent everyone last week. Remember, I sent you all a short news article. Why we believe fake news. I mean, I sent this one to you as one possibility, right? If you have another news article that you want to use to analyze, you can also do the work on a different news article that you found or that you read recently. So it doesn't have to be specifically on this article, but if you don't have a news article of your own that you have read recently, or that you just want to, or you specifically enjoy reading this one, then you can use this one. What I want to show you guys is actually what I've done is I've also read and taken my own notes, Nambuso, on it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And I've noticed that we have a similar. Actually, we've identified similar points, which is interesting. Anyways, so as you can tell, so this is how basically Nambuso, like Professor Dlamini, read for meaning. If you look at the black notes, so the black notes were Professor Dlamini's points. Basically, she read the article and then took notes to herself of specific areas, right, that she found important while she was reading, or words. I mean, you can speak for yourself if you want, Nambuso, but I mean words that were words that she had to look up. I'm guessing.
Yes.
Some of them. Yeah.
Yes.
And then also, and then some other ideas that she had while reading. So important ideas that she had, questions that she was left with, and so forth. And I did the same thing. Mine is the ones that are the one in red as well. So I did the same thing. So this is sort of what the first step of the article, of reading an article, right?
Yeah.
Guys, so basically the first step is you read it. You try to read it, not necessarily focused on every single word, but you read it as a whole, right? And that's what McGregor is also telling us, right? You read it as a whole and you sort of try to get the gist of, okay, what is the article about? What is it trying to tell us? What is it communicating to us? And then we can look at the specific words and what we don't understand, what words that we don't understand, ideas that we find particularly interesting maybe, or things that have left us. And this is the sort of second role, right? The text participant. What are some parts that maybe leave us a little bit concerned or frustrated, or some areas that we don't necessarily agree with? And so we have you jot down maybe some questions, right? And then ultimately we get to the third and fourth level, which is what Professor Dlamini was saying. So as a text user or a text analyst, so for example, what are the idea systems behind this? What is the discourses that the article is capturing, right? And I won't go into it too much because we're going to do this at this point next week.
Yeah.
So I don't want to anticipate too much because, I mean, otherwise I might condition the way you all will read it. But this is sort of to give you an idea of how it can work, right? How this looks like as well. How it looks like when we're reading articles. You know what I mean? So what we'll be doing next week, guys, is if you can already have a first look at the text for next week, that will be great. And then during class, what we'll be doing together is we'll be looking more at the analytical part. So we'll be doing more of the analysis of the article together.
Yes.
And we'll be using the techniques that Sue McGregor outlined in her article, basically. So Sue McGregor outlined a few techniques of looking at an article, right? And to do critical discourse analysis. So we'll be using those techniques basically together, and then each one, or in pairs, if you want, you can write up your analysis of the article. So I guess we'll move that part to next week because, I mean, today is the session is over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's a better way to proceed with it. And perhaps we can. What I'm thinking is I can send also to you a corresponding way with this article, with aligning it with McGregory, not just a paragraph, just as an example to show, right, of how I did it for this article. And then you can take it from there, because we really have to know how to read as graduate students before we can actually begin to write back responses and all that. So next week should be our last kind of how to read class, and then we move on to doing our own analysis for the responses. Yeah. Okay.
I think that sounds good.
All right.
Class, so is that clear? Is that clear to everyone, guys?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thumbs up.
So next week, basically, we will be proceeding with the analysis of the article. So basically, we're going to be reading together the article, and then summarizing it, and then analyzing it through McGregor's techniques. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Sounds good, then.
It's
All right.
great. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right. So thank you, Professor Dlamini, again for joining us and giving us a run through again of the article, of the previous article. I think that was very useful for everyone. And
thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you everyone for being here, present.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And I will see you all, guys. I will see you all next week. Do you have any other question before I leave?
I have a question. Hello, Micro.
Yes, Grace, tell me.
I have a question, but they are locking out the internet, so I'll ask it on I will ask it on the WhatsApp group, and then you respond.
Sounds good. Sounds good, guys.
Okay.
Any other question? Send it to my WhatsApp, okay? If anyone has other outstanding questions. Yes.
Okay. Now you will be having which article to read next week? Is it the one that you are displaying right now?
Yes, it's the one, Abulong. It's the one that I sent. I sent it last week as a on the WhatsApp group.
The fake news.
Fake news. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Fake news.
Okay.
But while we use that, we're also going to be using McGregor. You guys already read McGregor, right? Sue McGregor, the other. Remember the other article, the critical discourse analysis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna just basically we're gonna use that critical discourse analysis to analyze the why we believe fake news article.
Okay. Why we believe fake news article. So
make sure you basically just all you have to do, guys, is just have a look at the why we believe fake news, and just jot down notes for yourselves. Okay, just like read it and see how you're reading it. Basically, just write down notes for yourself, questions that you have, stuff like that. And then next week we're gonna read it together, and then we're gonna use a critical discourse analysis to analyze it. You see what I mean?
Okay.
Make sense?
That's making sense. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? And then I think I really have to leave you afterwards because you guys have to go, I think, right?
Thank you so much, Metro. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, guys. No problem. Thank you so much. Hey, guys, have a great weekend. And I will see you all. I will see you all next Friday again. Okay? So we're gonna work on this together next Friday. Kwaheri, guys. Asante sana.
Bye.